Hello guys, Michael the X here. Today, I'm going to be doing a Super Smash Bros. Moveset for Kris, Ralsei, and Susie. These are going to be a one character slot. But here's what they're going to be named, since otherwise you would not be able to see their names at all. Their name is going to be the Lightners. Since this have Delta Rune, the three of them are Lightners. Though, here's the thing. Inside of Delta Rune, the reason why they're all going to be one character is because they don't have enough moves to differentiate themselves from each other. So that's why they're all going to be one character. They're going to take, well, their gimmick is going to be very similar to Ice Climbers, except that whenever you recover with Susie, because I'll go ahead and explain it later, but once you recover with Susie, then Susie will respawn in 12 seconds, but in the meantime, and the recover will be changed into a tether recovery thanks to Ralsei's scarf. I wanted to get that out of the way. So yeah, which only Susie will hold. They're able, Ralsei and Susie are able to respond as long as they don't, well, they can respond, but they only respond if they get spawned by recovery. I'll go ahead and start off with the A attacks. Alright, so before I start off with explaining the attacks will be like this in power. So Kris will be not the weakest, but also not the strongest. Susie will be the strongest, but not, well, she's definitely not weak, so she's going to be the strongest. But her attacks have some end lag. Ralsei will have no end lag at all, but is going to be the weakest. For the A attack, it'll have Kris slicing forward, then Ralsei hitting the foe with her scarf, and then Susie rushing in for the last attack. But just letting you guys know, if both Susie and Ralsei are dead or KO'd, if people don't like dead, then it will all be Kris. Kris will do 3 slices. Alright, so for the charge up attack, I decided to have it be very similar to Kris's attack as well, but normal attack, but instead of it being just, well, the slash again, all 3 of them will be attacking at the same time. I would say I'm going to do a measurement on Mario for this specific attack, maybe on other attacks. It would do around 22 damage at barely charged, which this move will have a lot of end lag, thanks to Susie, by the way. And then it'll do 33 damage at medium charge and 40 damage at full charge. Keep in mind, the longer that you charge it, there's going to be more end lag. Very similar to a heavyweight. Alright, so I cannot find any animation for this. So this will, for the down A, which I also need to focus on the airs. Well, the air attacks and all that, I know. But for the down A, I decided to have a custom move for this. Since I'm not very good at sprite making, I'm not even going to bother. So, Susie will be the only one attacking. The only way to stop the attack for this specific one, Susie has to be hit, which will do damage to Kris, which Kris will be the one that you have to attack. The other 2 are just following. Which, by the way, I need to get to their weights. So all 3 of them are going to have invisible weights. Ralsei is going to be very light, Kris is going to be in middle, while Susie's going to be a heavy. All three of them, though, are going to have the same running speed. Alright, so Susie will use her axe, spin it around on the ground, doing, which it's actually a really good combo with some other attacks, such as spikes if it's on the ground, and if the foe's at 0 and all that, it can combo really well. That's all I'm saying. So now for the up A, this is going to be very similar to Ralsei's normal attack, except that it will be facing upward. So Ralsei will bend back while using that for up. It will only attack vertically, not horizontally. Susie's is the one that attacks horizontally. Alright, so for in the air, for the side, I decided to have it be very similar to the normal slash. This has crazy knockback, to where if the foe's at 100, it has the potential to kill them. So you'll just have to jump and then press A while facing to the side. That's all you'll have to do for this attack. Again, another custom made move. This is for the normal air. Susie will think of it as a combination of sorts of Kris's spinning animation. If you don't know what it looks like, this is it. Imagine that, except with Susie's axe spinning around. And also, this is another custom made move, but instead with Ralsei. This is going to be a spiking move. So they do have a spike, don't worry. But why did I give it to Ralsei instead of Susie? It's because, I think that Ralsei would actually spike more often than not because it would end the fight quicker, which Ralsei doesn't like fighting. So yeah, she only fights whenever. I also spoil for Deltarune. Skip 10 seconds later, but Ralsei's a girl. Alright, so here is, it will basically be where we'll basically turn Ralsei down, facing downward instead of facing right. Except imagine after a jump. That's basically what it's going to be. Alright, so I know that this is the move Red Buster, not Rude Buster, but since I could not find any sprite of Rude Buster, this will have to do. Red Buster will be used later. So, Rude Buster is going to be the standard B attack. Think of it very similar to Cloud's B attack. But here's the difference between them. Susie could charge it. Cloud cannot. The only way for Susie to charge it, however, is whenever... she could charge it any time, but the only way for it to hit full is if she charges it for 5 seconds. If she doesn't charge it at all, then it'll do 5 to 10 damage, while charging it at full will do 15 to 20. Alright, so for the down B, it's going to be sort of like a counter, except it's going to be just as unique as Incineroar's counter. So, Kris will go inside the defend animation. which once Kris is inside this animation, it will last for 2 seconds. Well, not 2 seconds, but like 1 whole second. It does have a little bit of hand lag, but not by much. But here's where everything's different from every single other counter. Since Ralsei has the power to heal, it will do a tiny bit of knockbacks to the foe whoever hits Kris, while Ralsei will heal Kris, which would heal the percentage. It depends on how powerful the move is. If the move only did 1 damage, it will only heal by 0.1%. If the move did 40 damage, so let's say Incineroar hit the foe, then it would heal by 20. Which, I know this may seem overpowered, but here's the thing. If you think that Kris is going for it, go for a long range attack, because Kris only could block normal attacks. She could still counter, but it won't heal at all. I know this may seem pretty weird that the healing animation, well, not the heal, this is based off of, well, you know, what, of Ralsei's healing than anything else, but I thought it would be pretty cool to have Ralsei heal Kris, which is something that everyone uses Ralsei for against the Jevil fight. Alright, so since this does happen inside of Deltarune, I decided to use this as the recovery. Hold on, this thing hasn't loaded yet. The gif that someone made. Alright, so there's the gif. This is going to be for recovery. Now, what Susie will do, which this is the part where if you're off stage, Susie will respawn after 12 seconds. Which, by the way, if Susie and Ralsei are gone, you cannot use that move that they're involved in. Except for the moves that I will be talking about later that replace. So, here's the thing about this recovery. You have 3 options to aim towards. Very low, very high, or medium. Very low is going to be as strong as Ness's hit inside of his attack. The medium is going to be pretty powerful on hit wise, but not very good on anything else. And then the upwit is not very strong, but is great for recovery. Oh, and also keep in mind that after Susie's gone, and if you get hit off the stage, you can still recover. But Susie won't be a part of it. Instead, it will be a tether recovery thanks to Ralsei's scarf. Alright, since Ralsei has the move Pacify for the side B, I decided to use that. This is going to be very similar to Jigglypuff's up B, to where the foe falls asleep. Ralsei, since Ralsei's, and one of Ralsei's acts, whenever Kris is commanding, both Ralsei and Susie, Ralsei has the axe Sing. And I decided to use that. And if you press B again while you're right next to someone who's asleep, Ralsei will use Pacify, which instead of sparing the enemy inside this game, it will launch the foe very far. If the foe is around 80, it'll launch them to the blast zone, but won't necessarily kill them. If they're at 90, can kill them, but won't say it will. At 100, then yeah, they're dead. They're just dead. Alright, so for the final smash, yeah, I'm already there. I decided to actually use Lancer for this. Now, it won't just be Lancer, don't worry. Everyone will have a part of this. Lancer will use his bike to ram towards the opponent. If any foe is hit by it, Lancer will use his spade attacks on the bike. Ralsei will also, as soon as that's done, Ralsei and Kris will attack using one slice. And then Susie will use, Kris will enhance Susie's Rude Buster to attack Red Buster, which this will do if the opponent, if the opponent's hit by the actual smash ball, then it'll do 50 damage. But the reason why I'll do 50, which this will only do if that much damage to the opponent's a very lightweight, such as Jigglypuff or Pichu. But if the foe is a heavyweight, then it will do 30 damage. While if it's just the F smash meter, then it'll always do 30. So yeah. So for the other stuff. Alright, so for taunt number 1, everyone will just do a pose, but the only one who isn't doing a pose is Ralsei. Ralsei will be clapping. To represent each time that you win, Ralsei will clap. Alright, so for taunt number 2, this is going to be very reminiscent to the pose that shows up whenever Ralsei's explaining the story. So yeah, this is the poses that they do. Oh, and also forgot to say something about this. Kris and Susie will be doing similar poses inside of the first taunt, except that the weapons are, well, for Kris, the weapon is up, while Susie's weapon is on the other, well, both hands are grabbing onto it, and she's charging up a Red Buster. Well, not Red, but Rude Buster. Alright, so for the last taunt, all 3 of them will be doing their standing still fight animation. Now, the reason why, which normally I would say that they would be doing this while they're standing still, but I think they should have unique sprites for, well, not sprites, but animations for that, instead of having the same thing copy and pasted over the standing still. Well, that about does it. I know I'd not go over victory animations, but I could not really find any. But anything that I could think of, aside from, well, also including Lancer, but I mean, I could have easily included Lancer into the victory animations at some taunts, but I decided not to. So maybe the taunts could also be victory animations, because some characters have some same taunts as their victory animations. Or their taunts are based off the victory animation, which is a very reminiscent to Meta Knight. Because Meta Knight has a taunt that's very similar to his victory animation. It's at both Brawl and Ultimate. So, I'm only doing Chapter 1. Well, I mean, unless all of them get really unique moves inside the next game. I'm planning only to do Chapter 1. If they get moves such as, I don't know, Healing Pacify, which heals everyone on the field, but also puts the foe to sleep. And if that's just an example, then maybe I'll return to the subject. But if Kris, Ralsei, and Susie are confirmed to keep the same moves as they would inside of Chapter 1, then, well, I'm not returning to them. And also, I was originally going to do Sans and a Frisk video as well, but those were cut due to one reason: limited storage. I had to delete both of those videos. I'm not planning to return to them though, because Brawl Fan 1 did a very good job on doing a move analysis video for them. So, yeah, that about does it. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed.